This is the Garden of Gethsemane. We're at the place which by tradition is where Jesus came on the last night of his life to pray and prepare himself for his passion, which began the next day. Behind me is a garden of old olive trees. They don't actually date to the time of Christ. They're several hundred years old, and their roots are even older than that, but all of the trees at the time of Christ were destroyed by the Romans when they besieged the city in 70 AD. But this garden gives us a sense of what the working olive garden might have looked like, the garden where Jesus and his disciples came. Behind me to the left is a modern church called the Church of All Nations. That's because many nations contributed to building it. Its official name is the Basilica of the Agony. And it's built on the footprint of an earlier Crusader, and before that a Byzantine church, marking a rock where by tradition Jesus knelt as he prayed. On the left behind us and across the street is a grotto or ancient cave, which has evidence of having been an olive oil press installation. That's where the crushing stone and the weight lever press were that crushed the olives and produced the olive oil. And in fact, Gethsemane means the place of the oil press. Perhaps that is where Jesus' disciples waited as he went to the garden with Peter, James, and John. And then he asked Peter, James, and John to watch with him as he went further and prayed to his Father that if it could be possible, they could let the bitter cup pass. But of course, we know he partook of it. And we have latter-day revelation, restoration scripture, which helps us understand better the passage in Luke 22, 43 and 44, where we're told that Jesus was in such agony somewhere near here that his sweat was, as it were, great drops of blood falling to the ground. And King Benjamin reported to the people of Mosiah 3 that so great was his agony for the sins of his people that he sweat blood. Doctrine and Covenants 19 tells us that his pain was so exquisite that his blood came from every pore. As Latter-day Saints, we understand then that Gethsemane was a crucial part of the atoning process. Here, Jesus took upon himself the sins, sorrows, shortcomings, failings, infirmities, disappointments of all of us, the crushing weight of which pressed blood from every pore. And once he took that burden upon himself, after he was betrayed, after he was abandoned and arrested, he carried that burden first before the Jewish leaders and then before the Roman governor, where he was falsely judged, and eventually took that burden to the cross, where he died for the sins of the world, making salvation possible for all of us.